My name is Thessaly Maureen Kingsley. I am 68 years old. I have worked hard my entire life. I have saved every penny. I have sacrificed so that my children could have a better future. And I have learned in the most painful way possible that the people you trust the most can betray you the worst. Let me tell you about the night that changed everything. It was a Sunday evening, the kind of evening that should have been peaceful. The sun had just set. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple. I had spent the entire day cooking. Fried chicken, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, candied yams, cornbread, sweet potato pie. It was a feast, a celebration. My son, Broderick, had invited himself over for dinner. He said he wanted to spend quality time with me. He said he missed my cooking. He said he wanted to reconnect. I was so happy. Broderick had been distant for years. Ever since he married his wife, Camilla, he had slowly pulled away from me. Phone calls became less frequent. Visits became rare. I would go months without hearing from my own son. But that Sunday, he called and said he wanted to come over. Just him. No Camilla, no children, just mother and son like the old days. I should have known something was wrong. We ate together at my kitchen table, the same table where I had fed him as a child, the same table where I had helped him with his homework, the same table where I had comforted him after his father died. Broderick ate like he had not eaten in weeks. He complimented my cooking. He told me stories about his job. He laughed at my jokes. He seemed happy, normal, like the son I remembered. After dinner, we moved to the living room. I made coffee. We talked some more. Broderick asked about my health. He asked about my friends at church. He asked about my plans for the future. And then he asked a question that made my stomach tighten. "Mama, have you checked your bank account lately?" I frowned. My bank account? Why would I need to check my bank account? Broderick shrugged casually, too casually. I was just wondering. Making sure everything is in order. You are getting older. It is important to keep track of your finances. Something in his voice did not sound right. Something in his eyes made me uneasy. I will check it later, I said. Why not check it now? Broderick pulled out his phone. I can help you log in. I know you are not great with technology. My uneasiness grew, but I pushed it aside. This was my son, my baby boy. He would never hurt me. I got my phone and opened my banking app. I typed in my password. I waited for the screen to load. And then I saw it. My balance. Zero. $0, 0 cents. I stared at the screen. My mind could not process what I was seeing. That account had held $187,000. My life savings. 45 years of hard work. Every penny I had earned, saved, and sacrificed. Gone. What is this? My voice was barely a whisper. Where is my money? I looked up at Broderick. And he smiled. Not a warm smile, not a reassuring smile. A cold, cruel smile. The smile of someone who knew exactly what had happened. The smile of someone who had planned this. The money is gone, Mama, Broderick said calmly. I transferred it this morning, every last cent. I felt like the ground had opened up beneath me. You stole my money. I did not steal it. I took what was rightfully mine. Broderick leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. You were always going to leave it to me anyway. I just decided to take it now instead of waiting for you to die. The words hit me like a physical blow. Waiting for me to die. My own son had been waiting for me to die so he could take my money. How, I whispered. How did you access my account? Remember last year when you asked me to help you set up online banking? You gave me all your passwords. You trusted me. He laughed. It was an ugly, mocking laugh. You always trusted me, Mama. That was your mistake. I sat there frozen. My heart was breaking. My world was crumbling. The son I had raised, the son I had loved, the son I had sacrificed everything for, had stolen my entire life savings. And he was smiling about it. But then something happened. Something shifted inside me. The shock began to fade. The grief began to harden. And in its place, something else rose up. Something cold, something fierce. I looked at my son, my treacherous, ungrateful son. And then I spoke. Now, before I tell you what I said, I need to ask you something. Are you with me? Are you ready to hear what happened next? If you are, I need you to do something for me right now. I need you to subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button. It is free and it tells me that you want more stories like this. Stories about real struggles, real betrayals, real strength. Also, press the like button. That thumbs up helps more people find this channel. It helps me reach more mothers, more grandmothers, more people who have been hurt by the ones they love. And do not forget the notification bell. That little bell icon is so important. When you turn it on, you will get a message every time I post a new story. You will never miss anything. One more thing. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Are you from Chicago, Memphis, Los Angeles? Maybe you are watching from Jamaica or Nigeria or London or somewhere else around the world. I want to know who is here with me. I want to build a family of strong people who support each other. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. Let me tell you how my son became the kind of man who could steal from his own mother and smile about it. I was born in a small town in Georgia. My parents were sharecroppers. We did not have much, but we had love. We had faith. We had each other. My father worked from sunrise to sunset. My mother worked just as hard, plus she raised 5 children. I was the middle child, the quiet one, the one who watched and listened and learned. I learned early that life was not fair, that you had to work for everything you got, that nobody was going to hand you anything. When I was 18 years old, I left home and moved to the city. I got a job as a maid at a big hotel downtown. The work was hard. The hours were long. The pay was low, but I saved every penny I could. At 22, I met a man named Clarence Kingsley. He was a tall, handsome man with a gentle smile and kind eyes. He worked as a mechanic at a car repair shop. He was not rich, but he was honest and hardworking. We fell in love quickly. Within a year, we were married. Within 2 years, we had our first child, a boy. We named him Broderick. Broderick was a beautiful baby. Big brown eyes, chubby cheeks, a laugh that could light up a room. From the moment he was born, I knew he was special. 2 years later, we had another child, a girl. We named her Delphine. She was quieter than Broderick, more thoughtful, but just as precious. Life was good. We did not have much, but we had enough. Clarence worked at the shop during the day and sometimes took extra jobs on weekends. I continued working at the hotel. Together, we built a life. Then tragedy struck. When Broderick was 12 and Delphine was 10, Clarence was diagnosed with cancer. Lung cancer. The doctors said he had 6 months to live. Clarence fought hard. He fought for a year and a half, but in the end, the cancer won. I will never forget the day he died. I was sitting beside his hospital bed, holding his hand. The children were there too. We watched him take his last breath. We watched the light fade from his eyes. I thought my world had ended. I thought I would never recover. But I had 2 children who needed me. I had bills to pay. I had a life to maintain. So I pushed through the grief. I took on extra shifts at the hotel. I started doing laundry and ironing for wealthy families on the side. I worked every hour I could, doing whatever I could. And I saved. Every extra penny went into my savings account. I told myself it was for the children's future, for their education, for their opportunities. Broderick and Delphine grew up knowing the value of hard work. They saw me come home exhausted every night. They saw me count pennies at the kitchen table. They saw me sacrifice so they could have what I never had. Or at least, I thought they understood. Broderick was a smart boy. He did well in school. He got good grades. He was popular with his classmates. Everyone said he was going to do great things. When he graduated high school, he got a scholarship to a good university. I cried with pride when I watched him walk across that stage. My son, my baby boy, he was going to make something of himself. Broderick studied business. He graduated near the top of his class. He got a job at a big company in the city. He started making good money. I was so proud of him. Everything I had worked for, everything I had sacrificed, it was all worth it. But then Broderick changed. It started small. He would talk about his colleagues and their expensive cars. He would mention his boss and his vacation home. He would compare himself to people who had more than he did. "Mama, I need a better apartment," he said one day. "My place is too small. It does not look professional." I helped him with the deposit. "Mama, I need a new car. The one I have is embarrassing. I cannot show up to client meetings in that thing." I helped him with the down payment. "Mama, I need new clothes, designer clothes. People judge you by how you look." I bought him suits, shoes, watches. I gave and gave and gave, because that is what mothers do, because I wanted my son to succeed, because I thought I was helping him build a better life. I did not realize I was creating a monster. Then Broderick met Camilla. Camilla DeVuro came from a wealthy family. Her father was a real estate developer. Her mother was a socialite who spent her days at charity luncheons and country clubs. Camilla had grown up with money, privilege, and a sense of entitlement. From the moment I met her, I knew something was wrong. Camilla looked at me like I was beneath her. She barely shook my hand when Broderick introduced us. She spent the entire dinner looking around my small apartment with thinly disguised disgust. "Your home is very cozy, Mrs. Kingsley," she said. Her tone made it clear that cozy was not a compliment. "Thank you," I said, trying to be polite. After dinner, Broderick walked Camilla to her car. I watched from the window as they talked. I could not hear the words, but I saw Camilla gesture toward my building with a look of contempt. Broderick nodded, along with whatever she was saying. When he came back inside, I tried to talk to him. "Broderick, I am not sure about this woman. She seems..." "She seems what, Mama?" Broderick cut me off. His voice was cold. "She seems like she does not respect you. Or me." Broderick laughed. "Camilla comes from a different world, Mama. She is not used to places like this. You need to understand that." "I understand that she looked down on me in my own home." "You are being too sensitive." Broderick grabbed his jacket. "Camilla is the best thing that ever happened to me. I am going to marry her, and I need you to be supportive." He left without saying goodbye. Broderick and Camilla got married 6 months later. The wedding was at a fancy country club, 300 guests, a 10-piece orchestra, ice sculptures, champagne that cost more than my monthly paycheck. I was there, of course, but I felt like a stranger. Camilla's family barely acknowledged me. They talked about yachts and summer homes and stock portfolios. I had nothing to contribute. During the reception, I sat alone at my table, watching my son dance with his new wife. He looked happy, radiant, like he had everything he ever wanted. Maybe he did have everything he wanted, and maybe I was not part of that picture anymore. After the wedding, things got worse. Broderick stopped calling. When I called him, he always had an excuse. "I am busy, Mama. I have a meeting, Mama. Camilla and I have plans, Mama." Visits became even rarer. I would go months without seeing my son. When he did visit, Camilla was always with him, making comments about my furniture, my neighborhood, my life. "You should really think about moving, Mrs. Kingsley," she said once. "This area is not very safe." "I have lived here for 40 years, I replied. "I know everyone on this block." "Exactly," Camilla smiled sweetly. "That is the problem." I wanted to throw her out of my house, but I did not want to lose my son, so I stayed quiet. I swallowed my pride. I let her insult me in my own home. That was my second mistake. Trusting Broderick with my passwords was my first. Over the years, Broderick asked me for money many times. His car needed repairs. His apartment needed furniture. His business had a shortfall. His investments went bad. There was always something. And I always helped, because he was my son, because that is what mothers do. I did not realize that I was being used, that every time I gave him money, I was teaching him that he was entitled to it, that my savings were not mine, but his. And then came that Sunday dinner. The dinner I had prepared with such love and care. The dinner I thought was a sign that my son was finally coming back to me. But it was not a reunion. It was a robbery. Broderick had not come to reconnect. He had come to steal. Now we are back to that moment. Me sitting in my living room, staring at my phone. $0, 0 cents. My entire life savings gone. And Broderick, smiling at me like he had won some great victory. "You should have seen your face, Mama," he said, still laughing. "Priceless." I set down my phone. I looked at my son, this stranger wearing my son's face. And then I spoke. "Broderick, you think you are clever. You think you have outsmarted your old mother. You think you have gotten away with something." Broderick's smile faltered slightly. "I did get away with it. The money is in my account. There is nothing you can do." "Is that what you think?" I stood up slowly. My bones ached, my heart hurt, but my voice was steady. "Let me tell you something, son. You may have taken my money, but you have made a terrible mistake." "What mistake?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "You think that account was my only savings. You think $187,000 was all I had." Broderick's smile disappeared. "What are you talking about?" "I am talking about the other account, Broderick. The account you did not know about. The account that holds 10 times what you stole." His face went pale. "You are lying." "Am I?" I picked up my phone again. "Would you like me to show you?" Broderick stared at me. For the first time since he arrived, he looked uncertain. "What other account? I went through all your paperwork. I saw all your statements." "You saw what I wanted you to see. You think I survived 45 years by being careless. You think I raised 2 children alone by being stupid." I shook my head slowly. "You underestimated me, Broderick, just like everyone else has underestimated me my whole life, and that is going to be your downfall." Broderick stood up. His face was twisted with confusion and fear. "What are you going to do?" "I am going to do what I should have done years ago. I am going to protect myself, and I am going to make sure you face the consequences of what you have done." "Consequences? I'm your son. You stopped being my son the moment you decided to steal from me. Now you are just a thief, and thieves go to prison." Broderick's eyes went wide. You would not send your own son to prison." I walked to the front door and opened it. "Get out of my house." "Mama, wait, we can talk about this." "Get out." Broderick stumbled toward the door, his face a mask of shock and fear. But before he left, he turned back to me one last time. "This is not over, Mama." "No," I agreed. "It is not, but when it is over, you are going to wish you had never crossed me." I slammed the door in his face. And then I picked up my phone and made a call. A call that would change everything. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. After I slammed the door on Broderick, I stood in my hallway for a long time. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding, tears were burning in my eyes, but I did not let them fall, not yet. There would be time for tears later. Right now, I needed to act. I walked back to my living room and sat down in my favorite chair. The same chair where I had sat with Clarence all those years ago. The same chair where I had nursed my Bobbies. The same chair where I had prayed through countless hard nights. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Then I picked up my phone and made a call. The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. "Hello?" "Delphine, it is Mama." "Mama, is everything okay? You sound upset." Delphine was my daughter, my youngest, the quiet, thoughtful one. She lived in another city about 4 hours away. She was a nurse at a hospital there. She had a good life. A kind husband named Marcus, 2 beautiful children. Unlike Broderick, Delphine had never forgotten where she came from. She called me every week. She visited whenever she could. She sent me pictures of her children. She was the daughter every mother dreams of. "Delphine, I need to tell you something. Something bad happened tonight." I told her everything, about Broderick's visit, about the dinner, about checking my account, about the 0 balance, about Broderick's smile, about the cruel words he said. When I finished, there was silence on the other end of the line. Delphine, are you still there? I am here, Mama. Her voice was tight with rage. I am just trying not to scream. I know, baby, I know. That snake, that absolute snake. I always knew there was something wrong with him. I always knew Camilla was poison. But I never thought he would do something like this. Neither did I. Mama, we need to call the police. This is theft. He stole your money. He needs to go to prison. I know, but there is something else you need to know first. I took a deep breath. Do you remember when your father died? Do you remember the life insurance money? Yes, you said you put it in savings for our futures. I did, but I did not put all of it in the account Broderick stole from. Delphine was quiet for a moment. What do you mean, Mama? Your father's life insurance paid out $250,000. I put half of it in the savings account, the one Broderick knew about. The other half, I put somewhere else. Where? In a trust that only I control, a trust that Broderick knows nothing about. I could hear Delphine's sharp intake of breath. Mama, are you saying you still have money? Money that Broderick did not steal? Yes, over $150,000, plus interest over the years. It is close to $200,000 now. Oh, thank God. Delphine let out a long breath. Thank God, I was so worried about you, Mama. I thought you had lost everything. Broderick thinks I lost everything. That is what I want him to think. Why? I smiled grimly. Because I am going to let him believe he won. I am going to let him feel safe and confident. And then, when he least expects it, I am going to destroy him. Delphine came to visit me the next day. She drove 4 hours through the night to be with me. When she walked through my door, she wrapped me in her arms and held me tight. I am so sorry, Mama. I am so sorry this happened to you. It is not your fault, baby. I should have been here. I should have protected you. You have your own life, your own family. I could not expect you to babysit your old mother. Delphine pulled back and looked at me with fierce eyes. You are not old, Mama. You are the strongest woman I know, and we are going to make Broderick pay for what he did. I know we are, but we have to be smart about it. We sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where Broderick had eaten my food just hours before, and we made a plan. The first thing we did was gather evidence. I logged into my bank account and took screenshots of everything. The transaction history, the transfer to Broderick's account, the zero balance, every piece of digital evidence that showed what he had done. Delphine printed everything out and made copies. She organized the documents in a folder. She labeled everything clearly and precisely. This is going to be important for the police, she said. We need to show them exactly what happened. Will the police even do anything? I asked. Broderick is my son. He had access to my account. They might say I gave him permission. You did not give him permission to steal everything you had. You gave him access for emergencies, not so he could rob you blind. She was right, but I knew it would not be that simple. There is something else, I said. Something that might make this easier. What? I went to my bedroom and opened the drawer of my nightstand. Inside was a small folder, a folder I had kept for years, hoping I would never need it. I brought it back to the kitchen and handed it to Delphine. What is this? Open it. Delphine opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, old statements from Broderick's personal account, statements I had collected over the years when he asked me to help him with his finances. Mama, why do you have these? Because I am not stupid, I said quietly. I have known for years that something was not right with Broderick, the way he always asked for money, the way he never paid me back, the way he looked at my savings like it was his. I pointed to the statements. Look at the deposits, look at the timing. Delphine studied the papers. Her eyes widened. These deposits, they match the amounts you gave him over the years, but there are other deposits too, large ones, much larger than his salary would explain. Exactly. I do not know where that money came from, but I have always suspected that Broderick was involved in something shady, something illegal. Delphine looked at me with horror. You think Broderick is a criminal? I think Broderick has been lying to all of us for a very long time, and I think stealing from me is just the tip of the iceberg. The next morning, we went to the police station. I walked in with my folder of evidence and my daughter by my side. A young officer at the front desk listened to my story. He looked skeptical at first. Ma'am, you're saying your son stole from you? Yes. He accessed my bank account without my permission and transferred all my money to his own account. And you did not give him access to the account. I gave him access years ago for emergencies, not so he could steal everything I had. The officer frowned. Family financial disputes can be complicated, ma'am. Are you sure this is not just a misunderstanding? I felt my temper rising, but Delphine put a calming hand on my arm. Officer, this is not a misunderstanding, Delphine said firmly. My brother stole $187,000 from our mother. He admitted it to her face. He laughed about it. This is theft, plain and simple. The officer looked at the folder of evidence I had placed on his desk. What is all this? Evidence, bank statements, transaction records, everything you need to prosecute my son for theft. The officer picked up the folder and started looking through it. His eyebrows rose higher and higher as he read. This is thorough. My mother did not survive 45 years by being careless, Delphine said. The officer nodded slowly. All right, I am going to need to take a formal statement from both of you, and I am going to pass this along to our financial crimes unit. They handle cases like this. Thank you, I said. I have to warn you, ma'am. Cases involving family members can be difficult to prosecute. Juries do not like to see elderly mothers sending their sons to prison. I do not care what juries like, I said. I care about justice. The officer looked at me with new respect. Yes, ma'am. Over the next few weeks, the investigation progressed slowly. The Financial Crimes Unit reviewed my evidence. They subpoenaed Broderick's bank records. They interviewed witnesses. They built a case. But the more they dug, the more they found. Detective Rosalind Chambers, the lead investigator, called me into the station one afternoon. Mrs. Kingsley, we have made some interesting discoveries about your son. What kind of discoveries? Detective Chambers was a serious woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and no-nonsense attitude. She had been kind to me throughout the investigation, patient, understanding. But now she looked troubled. Your son Broderick is not just a thief, Mrs. Kingsley. He is a con artist. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? We traced the money in his accounts. The money that was larger than his salary could explain. It came from multiple sources, elderly victims, people he befriended through his work. She pulled out a file. Over the past 5 years, Broderick has stolen over $2 million from at least 8 different victims, mostly elderly people, mostly people who trusted him. I felt sick. $2 million. Yes, he would gain their trust, get access to their accounts, and then slowly drain their savings. Most of them did not even realize what was happening until it was too late. How did he get away with it? He was careful. He moved money through multiple accounts. He covered his tracks, and his victims were often too embarrassed or confused to report the crimes. Detective Chambers looked at me with something like admiration. You are the first one who fought back, Mrs. Kingsley. You are the first one who collected evidence. You are the first one who went to the police. I had to protect myself. You did more than protect yourself. You exposed a criminal enterprise. Because of you, we are going to be able to bring Broderick to justice. Not just for what he did to you, but for what he did to all his victims. I sat in silence, trying to process everything I was hearing. My son was a professional criminal, a con artist who preyed on the elderly, a monster. What happens now? I asked. We are going to arrest him. Tonight. We have enough evidence to charge him with multiple counts of fraud, theft, and elder abuse. Elder abuse? Yes, targeting elderly victims is a special category of crime. It carries harsher penalties. I nodded slowly. Good. Detective Chambers leaned forward. Mrs. Kingsley, there is one more thing you should know. What? Your daughter-in-law, Camilla. We found evidence that she was involved too. My heart stopped. Camilla? Yes, she helped Broderick identify victims. She helped him gain access to their accounts. She helped him launder the stolen money. So it was both of them, Broderick and Camilla, working together, preying on innocent people. Including me. They are going to prison, Detective Chambers said. Both of them for a very long time. That night, Delphine and I waited at my apartment. We had been told that Broderick would be arrested at his home around 8 o'clock. We were not there to witness it, but we would find out soon enough. At 8:30, my phone rang. It was Detective Chambers. Mrs. Kingsley, I wanted to let you know. We arrested Broderick and Camilla about an hour ago. They are in custody. I let out a breath. I did not know I had been holding. How did they react? Broderick was shocked. He did not think you would actually go to the police. He kept saying, my own mother turned me in, my own mother. He should have thought about that before he robbed his own mother. Yes, ma'am. Camilla was more defiant. She demanded to call her lawyer. She threatened to sue the department, but it does not matter. We have enough evidence to convict them both. What happens next? They will be arraigned tomorrow. The prosecutor will present the charges. The judge will set bail. Given the amount they stole and the number of victims, I expect bail will be very high. Will Camilla's family pay it? They might, but even if they do, Broderick and Camilla will still face trial. And with the evidence we have, they are going to prison. I thanked Detective Chambers and hung up. Delphine was watching me with anxious eyes. What did she say? They are in jail, both of them. Delphine let out a shaky laugh. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it is actually happening. Believe it, baby. Justice is coming. We hugged each other and cried. Tears of relief, tears of grief, tears for the family we had lost and the family we still had. But the story was not over yet. 3 days later, I received a phone call from a number I did not recognize. Mrs. Kingsley. Yes, who is this? My name is Thornton Devereux. I am Camilla's father. I felt ice spread through my veins. What do you want? I want to meet with you, in person. There are things we need to discuss. I have nothing to say to you, Mr. Devereux. Oh, I think you do, because I have information about your son, information the police do not have, information that could change everything. I gripped the phone tighter. What kind of information? The kind I will only share in person. Meet me tomorrow at the Riverside Cafe. Noon. Come alone. Why should I trust you? Thornton Devereux laughed. It was a cold, unpleasant sound. You should not trust me, Mrs. Kingsley. But if you want to know the whole truth about your son, you will come. He hung up. I stared at the phone in my hand. Camilla's father wanted to meet with me. He claimed to have information about Broderick. Information the police did not have. What did he know? What was he planning? And what would happen when I walked into that cafe? I did not know, but I was going to find out. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I did not sleep that night. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Thornton Devereux's phone call. What could Camilla's father possibly know about Broderick that the police did not? And why would he want to share it with me? The Devereux family was wealthy and powerful. They had connections everywhere. Politicians, business leaders, maybe even law enforcement. If anyone could make evidence disappear, it was them. But something in Thornton's voice told me this was not about protecting his daughter. There was an edge to his words, a bitterness, something personal. I made a decision. I would go to the meeting, but I would not go unprepared. The next morning, I called Delphine. Mama, you cannot go alone. It could be dangerous. I know. That is why I am telling you about it. Then let me come with you. He said to come alone. If he sees you, he might not talk. Delphine was quiet for a moment, thinking. What if I come but stay hidden? I will sit at a table nearby. If anything goes wrong, I can intervene. I considered this. It was a good idea. All right, but stay out of sight. I do not want him to know you are there. I will be invisible, Mama. I promise. At 11:45, I arrived at the Riverside Cafe. It was a nice place, elegant, the kind of cafe where wealthy people came to have expensive coffee and discuss business deals. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, waiters in formal uniforms. I felt out of place in my simple blue dress and sensible shoes, but I held my head high. I had as much right to be here as anyone else. Delphine had arrived 15 minutes earlier. She was sitting at a corner table, pretending to read a book. She gave me a tiny nod as I walked in. I looked around the cafe and spotted Thornton Devereux immediately. He was sitting at a table by the window, a tall, silver-haired man in his early 70s. He wore an expensive gray suit and a gold watch that probably cost more than my car. His face was stern, aristocratic, cold. He looked up as I approached. Mrs. Kingsley, thank you for coming. I did not come for small talk, Mr. Devereux. You said you had information, so talk. He gestured to the chair across from him. Please, sit. I sat down, keeping my back straight and my eyes sharp. Would you like anything? Coffee? Tea? No, I want answers. Thornton smiled thinly. It was not a friendly smile. Direct, I appreciate that. He took a sip of his own coffee. Very well, let us get to the point. He set down his cup and looked at me with cold eyes. Mrs. Kingsley, my daughter is in jail because of you. Your daughter is in jail because she is a criminal. Perhaps, but she is still my daughter, and I would do anything to protect her. Then why are you meeting with me? What do you want? Thornton leaned back in his chair. I want to make a deal. What kind of deal? The kind where we both get what we want. He folded his hands on the table. You want justice for what Broderick did to you. I want my daughter out of prison. I believe we can help each other. I felt suspicion rising in my chest. How? Thornton reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. He slid it across the table toward me. Open it. I picked up the envelope and opened it. Inside was a single photograph. My heart stopped. The photograph showed Broderick, but he was not alone. He was standing with two other men, men in expensive suits, men who looked dangerous. And behind them was a warehouse filled with boxes, boxes that looked like they contained something illegal. What is this? I whispered. That is your son, Mrs. Kingsley, doing business with some very dangerous people. I looked up at Thornton. What kind of business? The kind that makes the theft he committed against you look like child's play. Thornton's voice was cold. Your son is not just a con artist, Mrs. Kingsley. He is involved with organized crime, drug trafficking, money laundering, things that carry sentences of 20 years to life. I felt the room spinning around me. How do you know this? Because my daughter told me. She told me everything after she was arrested. She was terrified. She said Broderick had gotten them involved with people who do not forgive mistakes, people who kill to protect their secrets. And you have proof of this? Thornton nodded. I have more photographs, documents, recordings, everything you need to put Broderick away forever. Why would you give this to me? Why not give it to the police? Thornton's face hardened. Because I want something in return. What? I want you to convince the prosecutor to go easy on Camilla. She was not the mastermind. She was a follower. She did what Broderick told her to do. I laughed bitterly. Go easy on Camilla, the woman who helped my son steal from elderly people, the woman who treated me like dirt for years, the woman who helped plan the robbery of my life savings. She is still my daughter. And Broderick is still my son. But I am not asking anyone to go easy on him. Thornton's jaw tightened. Mrs. Kingsley, you do not understand. If Camilla goes to prison for a long time, she will not survive. She is not built for that world. Then she should have thought about that before she became a criminal. We stared at each other across the table. Two parents, both betrayed by their children, both fighting for different outcomes. Finally, Thornton spoke. I am not asking you to let Camilla go free. I am asking you to speak to the prosecutor, to tell them that Camilla was manipulated, that Broderick was the leader, that she deserves a lesser sentence. And in return, he pushed the envelope closer to me. In return, I give you everything I have on Broderick, all the evidence of his involvement with organized crime, evidence that will put him away for the rest of his life. I looked at the photograph again. My son, standing with criminals, involved in things I could not even imagine. How do I know this is real? How do I know you are not trying to trick me? Thornton reached into his pocket and pulled out a flash drive. This contains everything: photographs, documents, audio recordings. You can verify it yourself, or you can give it to the police and let them verify it. I took the flash drive. It was small and light, but it felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Why are you doing this, Mr. Devereaux? Really? Thornton's face softened for just a moment. Behind the cold exterior, I saw something else. Pain, grief, the anguish of a father watching his child destroy herself. Because my daughter made a terrible mistake, and I want to give her a chance to start over, a chance to become someone better. He looked at me with weary eyes. You know what that feels like, Mrs. Kingsley, wanting to save your child, wanting to protect them from themselves. I did know. I had felt that way about Broderick for years. I had made excuses for him, covered for him, given him money and support and love. But there was a difference between wanting to save your child and enabling their destruction. I will think about it, I said finally. Thornton nodded. That is all I ask. He stood up and dropped a $100 bill on the table. For the coffee, he said, I will be in touch. He walked out of the cafe without looking back. I sat there for a long time, staring at the flash drive in my hand. Delphine appeared at my table a few minutes later. Mama, what happened? What did he give you? I handed her the envelope and the flash drive. Evidence that Broderick is involved with organized crime. Delphine's face went pale. Organized crime. Mama, this is serious. This is dangerous. I know. What did Devereaux want in return? I told her about the deal, about speaking to the prosecutor, about asking for leniency for Camilla. Delphine shook her head. Camilla is just as guilty as Broderick. She helped him steal from all those people. She does not deserve leniency. I agree, but the evidence on this flash drive could put Broderick away forever. It could expose the criminals he is working with. It could protect other victims. So what are you going to do? I thought for a long moment. I am going to take this to Detective Chambers. I am going to let her decide what to do with it. And the deal with Devereaux. I looked at my daughter with tired eyes. I am not going to ask anyone to go easy on Camilla. She made her choices. She has to face the consequences. But what about the evidence? Devereaux already gave it to me. I am going to use it whether he likes it or not. Delphine smiled grimly. Mama, you are something else. I am a mother who has had enough. That is what I am. That afternoon, I went to the police station. Detective Chambers was in her office. When I handed her the flash drive and told her where it came from, her eyes went wide. Mrs. Kingsley, do you understand what this is? Evidence that my son is involved with organized crime. This is more than evidence. This is a goldmine. She plugged the flash drive into her computer. If this is real, we can take down an entire criminal network. We spent the next hour reviewing the contents of the flash drive. There were photographs, dozens of them. Broderick meeting with known criminals, Broderick at warehouses, Broderick exchanging briefcases full of cash. There were documents, financial records showing money flowing through shell companies, invoices for services that were clearly illegal, contracts with vague language that hinted at criminal activity. And there were audio recordings, Conversations between Broderick and his criminal associates, discussions about drug shipments, plans to launder money, threats against people who got in their way. When we finished, Detective Chambers leaned back in her chair. "Mrs. Kingsley, your son is in much deeper trouble than we realized. What happens now? Now we share this with the FBI. Organized crime is federal territory. They will want to take over the investigation. Will Broderick go to prison? If even half of this is verified, your son is looking at 20 to 30 years, maybe more." I closed my eyes. 20 to 30 years. My son, the child I had raised, the baby I had held in my arms. Going to prison for decades. "Mrs. Kingsley, are you all right?" I opened my eyes. "I am fine, I never imagined it would come to this." Detective Chambers reached across her desk and touched my hand. "You did the right thing. You exposed a dangerous criminal. You protected other victims. You should be proud." "Proud?" I laughed bitterly. "I raised a monster. How can I be proud of that?" "You did not raise a monster. You raised a child. What he became, the choices he made, those are on him, not on you." I wanted to believe her, but the guilt was heavy on my heart. "What about Camilla? What happens to her?" "Camilla is looking at significant prison time as well, but probably not as much as Broderick. She was an accomplice, not the mastermind." "And if I spoke to the prosecutor? If I asked for leniency?" Detective Chambers frowned. "That is not really how it works, Mrs. Kingsley. The prosecutor makes decisions based on evidence and the law, not on requests from victims." "But victims can make statements, can they not? Victim impact statements." "Yes, during sentencing, but that is a long way off." I nodded slowly. "I understand." 2 weeks later, the FBI took over the case. They verified the evidence on the flash drive. They identified the criminal organization Broderick had been working with. They made arrests, dozens of them. Broderick was charged with new crimes, federal crimes, drug trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy, racketeering. The news was everywhere. My son's face on television, his name in the newspapers, the whole world learning what he had done. I stayed inside during those days. I could not bear to face the neighbors, the whispers, the pitying looks. But Delphine was there with me, holding my hand, making sure I ate, making sure I slept. "This is not your fault, Mama," she said again and again. "None of this is your fault." I tried to believe her. One evening, about a month after Broderick's arrest, I received a letter. It was from Broderick, from prison. I stared at the envelope for a long time before I opened it. "Dear Mama, I know you probably hate me. I know I deserve it. I did terrible things, things I can never take back. But I want you to know that I am sorry. I am sorry for stealing from you. I am sorry for laughing at you. I am sorry for every cruel word I ever said. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not deserve forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. I understand what I threw away. You were the best mother anyone could ask for. You sacrificed everything for me. You loved me when I did not deserve to be loved. And I repaid you with betrayal. I will spend the rest of my life regretting what I did. I will spend the rest of my life wishing I had been a better son. I am sorry, Mama. I am so sorry. Your son, Broderick." I read the letter 3 times. Tears were streaming down my face. Was he sincere? Or was this just another manipulation? Another lie from a man who had lied his entire life? I did not know. I did not know if I would ever know. But I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I would read it again. Maybe someday I would know what to do with it. But not today. Today I was still healing. The next morning, I woke up to a phone call. It was Detective Chambers. "Mrs. Kingsley, I have news. Broderick wants to see you. He is asking for a visit." My heart skipped a beat. "A visit, in prison?" "Yes, he says he has something to tell you, something important. Something he will only tell you in person." I thought about the letter, the apology, the regret. Was this genuine, Or was it a trap? What do you think I should do, detective? That is not my decision to make, Mrs. Kingsley. But if you do go, be careful. Broderick is a master manipulator. Do not let him get inside your head. I thanked her and hung up. I sat in my kitchen for a long time, thinking. My son wanted to see me. He had something to tell me, something important. Did I want to know what it was? Part of me said no. Part of me wanted to close the door on Broderick forever, to forget I ever had a son. But another part of me, the mother part, could not let go, could not give up, could not stop hoping that somewhere inside the criminal, the monster, there was still a piece of the boy I had loved. I made my decision. I would go see Broderick, one last time. And whatever he had to tell me, I would listen. The prison was 2 hours away from my home. Delphine wanted to come with me, but I told her no. This was something I needed to do alone. This was between me and my son, a final reckoning that had been building for years. I drove through the gray morning, watching the landscape change from city streets to suburban neighborhoods to empty fields. The sky was overcast, heavy with clouds that threatened rain. It matched my mood perfectly. My mind wandered as I drove. I thought about Broderick as a baby, the way he used to grip my finger with his tiny hand, the way he used to laugh when I tickled him, the way he used to look at me like I was the center of his universe. Where had that baby gone? What had happened to the sweet boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard, who used to tell me I was the prettiest mama in the whole world? I did not know, and maybe I never would. The prison appeared on the horizon like a gray fortress. High concrete walls, guard towers, barbed wire fencing. A place designed to hold the worst of humanity. And now, my son was inside those walls. I parked my car and walked toward the entrance. My legs felt heavy. My heart was pounding, but I kept moving forward. I had come this far. I was not going to turn back now. The visitor processing area was cold and impersonal. I had to show my ID. I had to fill out forms. I had to go through a metal detector. I had to be patted down by a female guard. It was humiliating, degrading, but I endured it without complaint. Finally, I was led to the visiting room. It was a large space filled with small tables and plastic chairs. Other visitors were already there, talking to their incarcerated loved ones. Some were crying. Some were arguing. Some were just sitting in silence, holding hands across the table. I took my seat at an empty table and waited. 5 minutes passed, 10, 15. Then a door at the far end of the room opened, and Broderick walked in. He looked different, thinner, older. The arrogant confidence that had always defined him was gone. In its place was something I had never seen in my son before. Fear. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit. His hands were cuffed in front of him. A guard escorted him to my table and pushed him into the chair across from me. "You have 1 hour," the guard said. "No physical contact." The guard stepped back but remained nearby, watching us. Broderick and I stared at each other across the table. "Hello, Mama," he said quietly. "Broderick." Silence stretched between us, heavy, uncomfortable. "Thank you for coming," he finally said. "I did not think you would." I almost did not, but I need answers, Broderick. I need to understand. Understand what? Everything, how you became this, why you did what you did, all of it. Broderick lowered his eyes. "I do not know if I can explain it, Mama. I do not know if I understand it myself." "Try." He took a deep breath, and then he started talking. "It started when I was in college," Broderick began. "I was surrounded by people who had more than me, nice clothes, nice cars, money to burn, and I had nothing, just a scholarship and a part-time job." "You had everything you needed," I said. "I made sure of that." "I know, Mama, but it did not feel like enough. I wanted more. I wanted to be like them, the rich kids, the ones who did not have to worry about anything." He shook his head. "So I started cutting corners, cheating on exams, lying on job applications, small things at first, but they added up." "When did you start stealing?" "After I graduated. I got a job at the company and I realized how easy it was to take things. Office supplies, petty cash. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. So you kept going. Yes, I kept going. The thefts got bigger. The lies got more elaborate. And I discovered I was good at it, really good. I could make people trust me. I could make them believe anything I said. His voice dropped to a whisper. That is when I met Camilla. Camilla saw something in me, Broderick continued. She saw potential, but not the good kind. She saw a man who was willing to do anything to get ahead. She encouraged you. More than encouraged, she trained me. She taught me how to identify vulnerable targets, how to gain their trust, how to manipulate them into giving me access to their money. I felt sick. The elderly victims, that was her idea. Yes, she said they were the easiest marks. Lonely, trusting, desperate for connection. All I had to do was be kind to them and they would give me anything. And you did not see anything wrong with that. Stealing from old people who trusted you. Broderick was silent for a long moment. I told myself they did not need the money, that they were going to die soon anyway, that I was doing them a favor by taking it while they were still alive. That is exactly what you said about me, I said quietly. That I was going to die soon, that my money should be yours. Broderick flinched. I know, and I am sorry, Mama, I am so sorry. Sorry does not give me back my money. Sorry does not undo the years of pain you caused. I know it does not, but it is all I have left to offer. We sat in silence for a while. I was processing everything he had said, trying to reconcile the man in front of me with the baby I had held in my arms. Tell me about the organized crime, I finally said. How did you get involved with those people? Broderick's face darkened. That was Camilla's doing too. Her family has connections, dark connections. When we started making serious money from the scams, they wanted a cut. The Devereaux family is involved in organized crime. Not officially, but they know people. People who launder money, people who move drugs, people who make problems disappear. And you started working with them. I did not have a choice. Once you are in, you cannot get out. They made that very clear. His voice was trembling now. Mama, the things I have seen, the things I have done, they haunt me every night. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. Every time I close my eyes, I see their faces. Whose faces? Broderick looked at me with haunted eyes. The people who got hurt because of me, the elderly victims who lost everything, the people who crossed the organization and paid the price. He lowered his voice to a whisper. Mama, they killed people. People who threatened to talk, people who tried to leave. I saw it happen, I was there. My blood ran cold. You witnessed murders. Yes, and I did nothing to stop them. I was too scared, too weak. Why did you not go to the police? Because they would have killed me too, and Camilla, and maybe even you. He reached across the table, forgetting the no-contact rule. His cuffed hands grasped mine. Mama, that is why I stole from you. Not because I wanted the money, because they told me to. They said if I did not give them more funds, they would come after my family. They would come after you. I stared at him. You are saying you stole from me to protect me. I am saying I was desperate. I was in too deep. I did not know what else to do. But you smiled, Broderick. When I saw the zero balance, you smiled. You laughed at me. His face crumpled. I know I did. That was the monster they turned me into. That was not really me, Mama. I swear it was not. I pulled my hands away from his. I do not know what to believe anymore, Broderick. I do not know if anything you say is true. It is true, all of it, and I can prove it. How? Broderick leaned closer. I have evidence, more evidence than what Devereaux gave you, evidence that can bring down the entire organization. Names, dates, bank accounts, everything. Why did you not give this to the police before? Because I was scared, but I am not scared anymore. He looked at me with determination in his eyes. I am going to testify, Mama, against all of them. Against the organization, against Camilla's family, against everyone. You are going to be a witness. Yes, the FBI has offered me a deal. If I testify, if I help them take down the whole network, they will reduce my sentence. How much will they reduce it? From 30 years to 10, maybe less if I am a good witness. I sat back in my chair, trying to process this new information. And what do you want from me, Broderick? Why did you ask me to come here? Broderick's eyes filled with tears. I want your forgiveness, Mama. I know I do not deserve it. I know I can never make up for what I did. But I need to know that somewhere, deep down, you still love me. I looked at my son, this broken man in an orange jumpsuit, this criminal who had stolen from me and laughed about it. And I saw something else too. I saw the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, the teenager who cried when his father died, the young man who hugged me at his college graduation and said I was his hero. That person was still in there, buried under years of bad choices and toxic influences, but still there. Broderick, I said slowly, I do not know if I can forgive you, not yet, maybe not ever. His face fell. But, I continued, I still love you. You are my son, nothing will ever change that. Tears were streaming down his face now. Thank you, Mama, thank you. Do not thank me yet. If you want to earn my forgiveness, you have to do more than testify. You have to change, really change, not just for the reduced sentence, but because it is the right thing to do. I will, Mama, I promise. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be a better person. We will see, Broderick, we will see. The guard announced that our time was almost up. Broderick leaned forward one last time. Mama, there is one more thing you need to know. What? The money I stole from you, the $187,000. I did not spend it all. My heart skipped. What do you mean? I transferred it to an offshore account. The organization was going to take it, but I never gave them the account information. The money is still there. How much? All of it, plus interest. About $200,000 now. I stared at him. You are telling me my money is still safe? Yes, and I am going to give it back to you. Every penny. The FBI is helping me set up the transfer. It should be in your account within a week. I did not know what to say. For months, I had believed my life savings were gone forever. And now? Why, Broderick? Why did you not just give it to the organization? Because even at my worst, even when I was laughing at you and treating you like garbage, some part of me could not let go of that money. It was yours, Mama. You earned it. And some part of me knew that taking it was the worst thing I had ever done. The guard stepped forward. Time is up. Broderick stood. The guard took his arm. Goodbye, Mama, Broderick said. I love you, I always have, even when I did not show it. I watched as they led my son away. He looked back at me one last time before disappearing through the door. And then I was alone. The drive home was long and emotional. I cried for most of it, tears of grief, tears of confusion, tears of something that might have been hope. My son was a criminal. He had done terrible things. He had hurt me deeply. But he was also going to testify. He was going to help bring down the organization. He was going to return my money. And somewhere, deep inside, he still loved me. I did not know what the future held. I did not know if Broderick would really change. I did not know if I would ever fully forgive him. But for the first time in months, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Hope. 1 week later, I checked my bank account. The money was there, $203,000, more than I had before. I stared at the screen for a long time, tears streaming down my face. My son had kept his promise. He had returned what he stole. It did not erase the pain. It did not undo the betrayal, but it was a start, a small step toward something that might someday be healing. The trial began 3 months later. It was a massive case. Federal prosecutors, FBI agents, dozens of defendants, the whole criminal network that Broderick had been part of. Broderick testified for 5 days. He told the court everything. Names, dates, crimes, murders. He spared no one, including himself. The defense lawyers tried to tear him apart. They called him a liar, a manipulator, a man who would say anything to save himself. But Broderick held firm. He answered every question calmly and clearly. He provided documents and recordings to support his testimony. He was, despite everything, a credible witness. When the jury delivered their verdict, it was guilty on all counts. The organization's leaders were sentenced to life in prison. Camilla was sentenced to 15 years. Other members received sentences ranging from 10 to 40 years. And Broderick, because of his cooperation, because of his testimony, his sentence was reduced to 8 years. With good behavior, he could be out in 5. I attended the sentencing hearing. I watched as the judge read out Broderick's sentence. I watched as they led him away in handcuffs. But before he left, he looked at me, and he mouthed 2 words. "Thank you." Life went on. The months turned into years. The scandal faded from the news. People forgot about the case, about the DeVuro family, about the elderly victims who had been robbed. But I did not forget. I used some of the returned money to start a foundation, a small organization that helped elderly victims of financial fraud. We provided legal assistance, counseling, financial education. We helped people who had been through what I had been through. Delphine helped me run it. She had moved back to my city after the trial. She said she wanted to be closer to me. She said family was more important than anything. I could not have agreed more. 4 years after the trial, I received a letter from Broderick. "Dear Mama, I am being released next month. Good behavior. The parole board approved my early release. I do not know what my life will look like on the outside. I do not know if I can find a job. I do not know if anyone will ever trust me again. But I know one thing. I want to be a better person. I want to make up for the things I did. I want to earn back your trust, even if it takes the rest of my life. I am not asking to move in with you. I am not asking for money. I am not asking for anything except a chance. A chance to prove that I have changed. A chance to be your son again. I love you, Mama." Broderick. I read the letter a dozen times. Each time, I felt something shift inside me. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is not a decision you make once and then everything is fine. It is a process, a journey, a long, difficult road that you walk one step at a time. I was not ready to forgive Broderick completely. I did not know if I ever would be. But I was ready to give him a chance to show me that the man who wrote that letter was real, that the change he claimed to have made was genuine. I wrote back, "Dear Broderick, I received your letter. I have thought about it for a long time. I cannot promise forgiveness. I cannot promise that things will be the way they were before. Too much has happened. Too much pain. Too much betrayal. But I can promise you this. I will be there when you are released. I will help you find a place to live. I will help you get back on your feet. Not because you deserve it, but because you are my son, and a mother never stops loving her child, no matter what. Come home, Broderick, and show me that you have really changed. Your mother, Thessaly." The day Broderick was released, I was waiting outside the prison. Delphine was with me. So was her husband, Marcus. So were her children, my grandchildren, Elijah and Naomi. We stood in the parking lot, watching the gate, waiting. And then the gate opened, and Broderick walked out. He looked different, older. There was gray in his hair now, lines on his face. But there was something else too, something in his eyes that had not been there before. Peace. He walked toward us slowly, like he was not sure if he was allowed to approach. I stepped forward. For a long moment, we just stood there, looking at each other. Mother and son, victim and perpetrator, 2 people trying to find their way back to each other. And then I opened my arms. Broderick fell into them, sobbing like a child. "I am sorry, Mama. I am so sorry." "I know, baby, I know. I will never hurt you again, I promise. I will spend the rest of my life making this right." "I believe you, Broderick, I believe you." We held each other for a long time, crying together, healing together. Delphine joined the hug. then Marcus, then the children. We stood there as a family. Broken, yes, scarred, yes, but still a family. And that was enough. That was 5 years ago. Today, Broderick works at the foundation I started. He helps other victims of financial fraud. He tells his story. He warns people about the tricks and manipulations that con artists use. He is good at it, really good, because he understands how criminals think. He knows their tactics. He knows their lies. And he uses that knowledge to protect others. Is he perfect? No, he still has bad days. Days when the guilt overwhelms him. Days when he cannot look at himself in the mirror. But he keeps going. He keeps trying. He keeps working to be better. And slowly, very slowly, I have learned to forgive him. Not completely. Some wounds never fully heal. Some scars never completely fade. But forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about choosing to move forward. It is about refusing to let the past poison the future. I made that choice, and I have never regretted it. Last Sunday, Broderick came over for dinner. He comes every week now. It has become our tradition, a chance to reconnect, a chance to rebuild what was broken. I made all his favorite dishes: fried chicken, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, the same meal I made that terrible night when he stole everything from me. But this time was different. This time he helped me cook. He chopped vegetables, he stirred pots, he set the table. After dinner, we sat in the living room, drinking coffee and talking. "Mama," Broderick said, "do you remember that night, the night I stole your money?" How could I forget? "Do you remember what you said to me when you found out what I had done?" I thought back to that moment, the zero balance, the smile on his face, the words I had spoken. I told you that you had made a terrible mistake, that you had underestimated me. Broderick nodded. "You were right, Mama. I did underestimate you. I thought you were just a weak old woman who would beg and cry and give up." He looked at me with wonder in his eyes. "But you did not beg, you did not cry, you did not give up, you fought back. You went to the police, you gathered evidence, you brought down an entire criminal organization." He shook his head. "You are the strongest person I have ever met, Mama, and I am proud to be your son." I reached over and took his hand. "And I am proud of the man you have become, Broderick. Not the man you were, but the man you are now." We sat there together, mother and son, holding hands. After everything we had been through, after all the pain and betrayal and heartbreak, we had found our way back to each other. It was not perfect, it would never be perfect, but it was real, and it was ours. If you are watching this story, I want you to know something. Life will break your heart. People you trust will betray you. Your own family might turn against you. But you do not have to stay broken. You do not have to let betrayal define you. You have the power to fight back, to stand up, to demand justice. And sometimes, if you are brave enough, if you are patient enough, if you are strong enough, you might even find your way to forgiveness. Not the forgiveness that pretends nothing happened, but the forgiveness that acknowledges the pain and chooses to move forward anyway. That is the hardest kind of forgiveness, and the most powerful. When Broderick stole from me and smiled, he was waiting for me to break. He was expecting tears and begging and despair. But I did not give him any of those things. Instead, I spoke. I told him the truth. I showed him that I was stronger than he ever imagined. And that moment, that decision to speak instead of cry, changed everything. It led to justice. It led to redemption. It led to healing. It led to this moment, right now, where I can sit in my living room with my son and know that we have both survived, that we have both changed, that we have both grown. That is the power of speaking up. That is the power of refusing to be a victim. Thank you for watching until the end. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to my story. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Press the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. I want to know who is here with me. I want to see how big our family can grow. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Love your families, even when it is hard. Stand up for yourselves, even when you are scared. And never, ever let anyone tell you that you are not strong enough. Because you are stronger than you know.